Yeah.
Okay, let's get poll hands. How many people have bought the case or heard of the case? Okay. How many people bought them? Is it too? Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick couple of minutes on the Kickstarter, tell you where we are, and then I'll ask some questions and answers, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about what my thoughts are for the next stage. Okay. So I've got very few slides. So as you can see, this was the original slide that was done by Vasily, who did the graphics for everything else, basically. So, right, so obviously I'm a big Amiga fan, I think it goes without saying. Had an Amiga 1000, God, years ago. And I've still got it to this day, which is my most treasured thing apart from. So I always say there's a fire in the house, kit comes out first, what comes out second, and the computer comes out third. So, actually no, let's say fourth because I can't leave the cat behind. But yeah, so the I'm very interested. I think I've talked about that before. In fact, is David here yet? No.
It's about, yeah.
Okay, so he did this great book, and when I heard he was doing the book, I said to him, well, you might want to clear up this thing about the Checkmate 1500, the original one, and get that correct so people know the truth, because I'm sick of people wondering, why was there a Commodore 1500? So he checked with, I was getting on Kelly or Kieran, one of the two, and they kind of shuffled their feet over an international call, and well, I don't know, maybe. And so he put my story in the book, so that's why. In fact, he put a lot more. I didn't expect him to put all that in there. So I did think, why don't we do it again? Because I've always wanted to have a case that looked like a 3000 that I could put in any computer I wanted to build into it. And so this was one thing. I assume you can see this okay up here. If you wonder what I'm running AMOS on, here's my little thing which I paid the driver for this thing. Absolutely fantastic on an Atom. Well, we did some designs, and I put the designs out into the community to see if anyone was interested, because I thought I'd probably end up. I had a prototype made, and I had 3D printed. No, I thought it was great, and then but the response was enormous. So it went to this, and so I launched this Kickstarter campaign, which I've never done before. Like most people do Kickstarter campaigns, they've never done it, and it reached. Well, you can see the figures up there. It was really, I don't know if anyone watched the Kickstarter, but it was the first 3 days it just went like that, and I thought I'm going to be a millionaire with this. It just went, and then after about 3 more days, it kind of leveled off about halfway, and then it was like that until the last 4 days, and then it just went through the roof again. Well, just it went over, so I was really pleased with that. And so I actually got to make this, and the reason for doing the Kickstarter was because I don't know if you've seen these, but the plastics. Making moulding, the injection moulding for plastics is really expensive. I mean, I think it's like $35,000 to do the injection mould, just to make the moulds, not to make the plastics, to make the moulds. It's a really expensive thing to do, but I wanted it to look really good. So that was kind of crucial. There was anyone who's going to do it. Other than that, I've got my own case. I'm quite happy. Thank you very much. But getting the money was brilliant. However, what I hadn't expected, I'd always planned to do some extras, and the extras were stupid. There's a couple of people here. Well, like everyone thought, just in case because it's so modular and flexible, you have 4 different back panels, so you can put different computers in it: 1200, 500, 600, mini ITX, micro ITX. Anything in those form factors can go in this case. And so you have 4 different panels at the back, and then on the front, of course, there's different moulded front inserts. And I had people just ordering everything. It just got silly. But because of the amount of extras, I mean, there's probably another 50-odd thousand pounds in extras on top. And because of that, and I kind of sat there and I thought, what can I spend that on? I did toy with the idea of going and buying a Tesla, but I thought you'd got to come string me up, so I changed that plan. But what I did think to do was I'd go and make some nice boxes, and so I invested in these nice colour boxes. So we decided to make really nice boxes, because I don't know about you, like whenever you used to get the computers in the old days, they come in this fantastic box. and it was really nice to open them up. So I wanted to make nice boxes. And they've been very popular. I think some people, everyone says they like the case. I mean, put your hand up if you don't. Come on, someone. Okay. But I'm really pleased with the car boxes, and then the graphics for them was done by Paul Kitchen. So anyway, the Kickstarter was. I was late shipping. I was 6 weeks late. I'll be honest about that. And then some people said to me, "Jesus, that's almost bang on time because normal Kickstarters." So, and the reason for being late was I would have been bang on time because I did the Scotty thing, you know, like multiplied by 2 times the amount of time. You got to over-allow on Kickstarters. You really got to over-allow. And the only reason it was late was because when the black plastics turned up, the texture I'd chosen, we couldn't because we was going to go for this nice model texture, but it added like $8,000 to the cost, and I thought it was going to be too much. So we went for this that just takes off the shine, and it's a smooth look. With the white ones, it came out and looks really nice. But the black ones, I got the black samples home, and they were horrible. I mean, you know, like black, when you see something black and it just shows any mark. Imagine it looks, I mean, technically what's happened is they've got a piece of sandpaper on and smoothed off the moulds with it, and it just looked dire. So I was like, oh God, I built one up. I mean, apart from the texture, it looked great, but so I built the mould and I built the system and I stuck it on my desk and I thought, I'll see if I can live with it. No. 2 hours later, I thought I might last till the next day, but 2 hours later I was literally I literally ripped it off. And I went back and I put the old prototype back on. The old prototype was 3D printed, but it was sprayed black. So I got in touch with the manufacturers and they said, the best thing we do is we can do I'll call it, it has a dual coating put on it, which means it's been sprayed twice. But they put a special primer on it and then they put obviously the top coat is sprayed on, but they all hand sprayed. So they are sprayed, and you can see them over here, see what you think of it, but I think they look great, and they, compared to the original, I mean, that's actually what I was looking for, it was that look. But they did have to be sprayed, but that took 4 weeks, and then shipping from China. So that was a 6 weeks delay. And then of course I had to build them. And so building them, yeah, that was fun. I originally thought it'd be about 6 weeks to build these cases, and there was about 550 cases to build. And because of all the extras, and because of the complexity, it went from 15 minutes to build a case to, on average, half an hour. And so I ended up taking 3.5 months. And to say it took a bit of a toll is an understatement. And I said to a number of people that basically I would be doing my day job 9 to 5, and then, because some of you may know, I've got my new son, he's a year on February the 4th, so I've got a baby as well. And he was in the project plan, obviously. So we feed him, bath him, and then about 6:30 after bath time, I go up there, build cases until 2 in the morning. So you can only do that for so long. So I was knackered at the end of it. So a nice break between that and the next batch. So all the original Kickstarter cases have gone. They were gone about 3 months ago they were shipped. And I'm working on the next batch now. So I've got the next batch. They're going to start shipping next month, and then I'm opening. People ask if I can open up the ordering system, because I open the order system up and I leave it open for 2 weeks, and it fills up with orders, and then I shut it down, and then I manufacture those because I can't. I'm hoping with the next batch I did over-order by about 50 or 60, so I will have stock. So it may be that when people come with the next lot, once I've shipped all of these, that we can actually do it from stock, but we'll see that. Anyway, so that's basically the Kickstarter. Now, has anyone got any questions about the Kickstarter or anything to do with the case before I move on? Go on.
I know you probably won't do a tower, but is any chance of getting like a stand for it? So if you did want to do it vertical, I know it's a bit odd. Yeah. I just wondered if there's any ideas for that. The vertical. Yeah, I think I mentioned this in Neil's video. If you stand it on end, it looks like a big PlayStation 2. And it really does. The only problem with it is, of course, yes, I mean, if there's a demand, if people want one, I can quite easily, we can make one, it's not a problem. The only thing is when you do stand it on end, you've probably tried this. Yeah. If you stand it on end, it actually looks stupid, because it's alright around one side and it looks okay from the front. But when you come around the back where all the holes are, we've got so many studs in the base, so you can mount all these. It's just peppered with holes. So I don't think it looks good. But if there's a demand, then yes, I can. That's not.
No, what reason I ask that is that obviously I don't think there may be a demand for actually a proper tower. Maybe you could base it on the A4000T.
I don't want to talk about new cases.
Oh, okay. You didn't like that, did you?
Oh, no.
I can see why you went with the desktop, and that's fine, but
I don't want to talk about cases.
Okay.
Because I've got an itch that has to be scratched. I mean, I scratched it with that one, but I've got other things I want to do. But I don't want to talk about tower.
Okay.
Well, you know what happens is if I even mention that I'm thinking about doing a tower, I want to buy the desktop and then I won't make it because it's. But I don't want to talk about tower. Right. So, I mean, if anyone asks me about a stand. And even if I did think about doing a tower, it would be 2 or 3 years. So, any more questions? Oh, you're shy, Lord. Not going to ask me.
Like, 6 weeks. That's nothing.
Yeah.
That is excellent.
Well, to be fair, it was really annoying because I had it in my head. Oh, do you know what? So, I had it in my head because I meticulously planned it because I know, because I've manufactured before, and I know that you get delays. And this one was really complex. There was injection molded plastics in China, there was circuit boards, there was a case, there was so much involved, so much could go wrong. And so I allowed an awful lot of time. If you remember on the Kickstarter, I think I allowed 8-9 months, something like that. And I really did think I would make it. And when the original plastics arrived, I would have made it no problem whatsoever. I know it sounds like a bit of an arrogant twat, but I did like the idea of going on time, and I didn't. So but no, it's true. It is true. And I will say people have been wonderful. Even with the making them, because as soon as the extras money came in, I started panicking because I just knew that. I knew how many I was making because I reckoned 15-20 minutes a case and so on, but it was literally half hour to 40 minutes to build them on average because those boxes are quite complex to put together and the whole system's quite complex. So it took a lot longer, really took a lot longer than I thought. And so as soon as I went for the box, I kind of pre-warned there's going to be 3 months, and it tipped over to like 3.5 months. So the shipping took a bit longer, but people were wonderful, they were. I mean, I had people email me all the time saying, well, don't worry. And I never understood it. I really appreciated it, right? The amount of people that said to me, leave mine to the back, and don't do, they're not going to, and I really appreciate it, honestly. But the fact is that I'm still going to build someone else's, so I'm not to build yours and get yours done. So, but people have been absolutely wonderful about it. No one, I've not been, because of the time I spent on it, I never had time to do the support necessarily, but I had this Facebook group and all the customers were in there and they all support each other as well. So I didn't have to answer, I think I probably had, I answered the odd one on the Facebook, but by the time I got to answer it, someone else had done it anyway. So everyone's kind of looked after themselves, which is absolutely, was really nice. Any more questions on the Kickstarter? I'll move on. Anything else? No? Sure? Time's up? Going, right. Oh, that was cute. No, that was that one. Yeah, so all these graphics have been done by Paul. Right. Future. So, no, I'm not going to announce the town. So the future's an interesting one. Now, this is very important to understand this. What I'm about to talk about is not official at all. Okay? It's not. No. Well, yeah. Mike might tell you, but no, it's fine. This is not official. I'm in discussions about using a name, which I'm about to show you, but it is not official. It's not been agreed. And the only reason I'm showing you and I want to talk about it is to get feedback. Okay? It's for people to give feedback. So, Amiga Hybrid. So, why Amiga Hybrid? That's exactly what Mike said.
let me show you the next slide. This might actually come clear. This might be, I hope it's not going to be too complicated. How many people remember that?
Yeah.
Hands up, how many people remember that? Okay. So, this was a product that myself, Paul Nolan, he actually wrote the software and I had the hardware design. We launched this, I'll tell the dates, I think it was like the end of the 90s. And the idea was that you could take your 1200 or any Amiga that had a net, well, it didn't have to have a network, you could have a serial. Any Amiga, if you had a box Amiga, there was a, in fact, no, it didn't matter, there was a switch, video switch. So basically, you had an Amiga, you had a Windows 95 PC, because at the time, Windows 95 was obviously going to kill, it was going to kill the Amiga, I was going to kill everything off because it was full multitasking, blah, 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 really boring, but it was there. And so what I came up with this concept originally was that if you have an Amiga and you have a Windows machine, and we had a little board that's video switcher, so you plug the video to both into the same switch box, and the software, we had a client on both ends and communicate. So when you had just your Amiga keyboard and mouse, and you had a single monitor, and technically you'd have a single box with all this in it. And you'd use them seamlessly. Now, nowadays we call that a virtual machine. Yeah? Back then there wasn't virtual machines. There was nothing like that. So this was being able to use it was aimed more at high-end users, not game players. But the idea was so that professionals could use Amiga seamlessly. Now you'll notice that the next stage, when we did the first one, it was literally just control, file. You'll see it's got the drives up there all mounted, all the PC drives mounted, etc. So it was seamless integration between the two. And we took that with version 2, which this is, you can see actually the switch card in here. We did this thing called Siamese RTG, which basically Paul's an absolute genius. And he managed to recreate an RTG display on the Windows, but it would run really fast, even over serial. So it was basically what's called already, remote desktop. But I think it was before remote desktop. I think there might have been a Unix one before us, but basically we had it. Whereas Unix was one that was out at the time, it was bitmap, it was sending bitmaps, so it was really slow. But this was recreating the interface by just commands. So it was incredibly fast. And if you put it over a network, it was faster than running on a Zoe bus. It was just ridiculously fast. So the idea of that was that you could run Amiga on the machine, you could run Macintosh on the machine, and you could run Windows on the PC. And you could make it as seamless as you like. So that was the original concept. Now, of course, nowadays, and with hindsight, Siamese system, I think it's a horrible name. At the time, I don't know, I just thought, oh, yeah, it's Siamese, and people were very kind, saying, oh, it's about 2 cats, but it wasn't, obviously. Yeah, and now, so I would never use that name again. But at the time, we thought, and no one ever complained. But nowadays, I'd shoot someone for that. But anyway, so that was there. Now, then came this. How many people have seen that? I talked about it before, and this is the Mick Tinker called this the Inside Out board. We actually renamed it Siamese PCI, and that went pear-shaped. Okay, I'm not going to go through it again. What happened? It's in David's book, go and buy David's book, and it tells you about it and the mistakes I made. But it's all in there. But the whole point of that was that Gateway, when they bought the Amiga computer system, they wanted to put this board in there and our software and on their high-end Gateway PCs. They didn't care about an Amiga, I've got to be honest, they didn't. But they liked the idea of having Windows and Macintosh software on the same machine. And at that time, you could get ROMs for the Macs. I mean, Steve Jobs, we all know, kicked that into touch. But at the time, you could. And so they were interested in doing that. Now, of course, from us, our point of view, that means Amiga system as well, and it would have been an incredible system. Okay? So, those two concepts are basically, I think, never really fully utilised. I sold tons of these in Germany. Let's get it right. I sold loads of these in Germany. You'll see it's in German. That's why my manuals are a German manual as well, because they're fantastic. I'm trying to do the same thing again. Now, it's a different thing entirely. It's not
not going to be a professional. It's not going to be for professional graphics artists. That kind of. This is for people, Amiga fans, who had Amigas in the past and have had to move on, and maybe they like the idea. And I don't believe it's a massive market. I think it's reasonable, but they have the idea. They like it. They like a PC. They can use they can run Amiga software on it. They can run the games, and when they want to, they can run on the Windows or Linux. Because at the moment it's really integrated quite well with Windows. That's one part of this hybrid. So if you can see, we've got up here, it said basically what we'll be doing. Now, again, it's very important to understand that there's been no agreements on this, okay? I'm just talking because I want people to come back and if you think it's a stupid idea, tell me, because then I won't waste my time on it. But it's aimed more outside, okay? Outside the community. So the idea is you can run, you've got the Amiga kit at your front end. You boot literally seamless. I've been talking to Microsoft about this, about turning certain bits off so that we can boot straight into Amiga without even seeing Windows, but then you use the rabbit. How many people use Amiga kit? Do you use Amiga with the rabbit hole? It's great, isn't it? So you can basically set rabbit hole up and you can have all your Windows, any apps you actually want to use, don't want to use the Amiga stuff. And the other good thing is, if you've got like a 4 or 8 core PC, I mean, the emulator just sits on one core, so it's just ticking over, so it's not really like using much power. But it's almost like a new desktop. Now, my feeling is, people out there, I mean, this is what my system looks like. I've got a black one and it boots into that, although now I have 3 monitors. Yes, Mike, can we have multi-head, please? That'd be really nice. But we have, so that's one part, is potentially people being able to buy a complete system. Now, you don't have to buy a system to do this. You can do this yourself. If you've already got it, you can go in and use it, etc. But with the case making it look like an Amiga 3000, etc., I think that there is a potential for getting people out there using it. Now, obviously, long term. Now, obviously, most people know I'm an AWOS fan, which is why I've got my little AWOS laptop here, and that's running here. And I've supported AWOS for a long time, and I intend doing new drivers to run on the latest chipsets. So, if this takes off, or if this is allowed to happen, let's put it that way, then we're going to launch a fund. I've already said I'll launch a fund for drivers, which I haven't had time to do recently. But then ultimately, long term, we're going to pick a specific hardware with we all know what an APU is, a CPU with a graphics chip on board, okay? So one of them, a specific one, and then if you want to put a faster one, you can. But then you'll be able to use it. It looks like an Amiga, the screen looks like an Amiga, and it's integrated in as an Amiga and so on. But if you need to run your Windows software, you've got it there. And also for developers, I mean, I think most people agree, if you're actually developing for the Amiga, it's quicker to do it in an emulator on a fast machine than it is to do on the actual hardware. Probably not as much fun, right? But it is probably faster, so if you're serious about it, it might be. But you don't want to buy this just to be a developer. But so that's the concept. Now, by doing that, getting that into the big sites, I've had a number of the big sites like Ars Technica and a couple of others that wanted to do reviews of the case, and I kind of held them back. Well, they couldn't make it in time for the last release, and I said, can I hold that back? So we're going to contact them about potentially, if this is a go-up, then maybe supplying the system and just see what the market thinks. And I know it was a can of worms, but then if it does open up the whole public's awareness of the Amiga, then I hope it will be good for everybody, all the communities. And obviously, you know, I'm an AWOS fan, so but so that's the outside of the community part. There's an inside the Amiga community part as well with this, which is basically a Siamese Mark II, which is going to become under the same name, hopefully. And the idea of that is, and this software is actually written, it's all ready to go. I just haven't had a chance, literally haven't had a chance to build, test, and set up. But I had to go about, when I first started the case, writing a similar kind of Siamese system software for the Raspberry Pi. So that's why you'll see on my case adverts, Raspberry Pi. That's not meant to be a Raspberry Pi case. I mean, yeah, you could, but you really wouldn't, would you? But so if you've got any kind of Amiga in, you'll be able to mount the Pi inside, and if you connect to the network to it, you can also use the Pi's Wi-Fi for the whole system. But more importantly, the keyboard and the mouse are mapped over to the Linux and back again. We all know Amiga M, switches screen. So what used to happen in the old days, and we also have a new switcher box as well. So there's an HDMI, you need an HDMI. Okay, yeah, so you need an HDMI, and so there's a switcher box, but that'll be controlled in software. So when you go Amiga M, if it comes to the Linux screen, it will instantly switch, and then it remaps the software for the keyboard and the mouse to the Linux machine, and back again, and so you get that. So that name is going to be used for both. That software is going to be open source. You don't have to buy it off of me. I'll tell you which switching cards you need. There are about 5 of the switching cards, and software will be free. So I'll make that available too. But what I'm interested in seeing what people think. Email me, whatever you want to do. Email me or come talk to me about it. I'm not asking you to buy it because you can build this yourself. But if something you think that's maybe interesting, just tell me, because otherwise I don't want to give up my day job and then go off and do it. It's not but that's it. So any more questions? I've got a couple, 2 minutes? Minute? Any more questions? 4 minutes. Cool. Anyone got a question? Go out there, well done. Loads of questions last time, I couldn't stop them. Alright, okay, so there's no more questions, then I will hand back to... Yeah, I'll hand back. But thanks very much anyway, so... Thank you very much.